We back. Golden Gems, late night edition. Welcome back, though, my beautiful people. Hey, hold on. Before we get started, let's get into it. Nolan Wells. Brian. Then we might just touch on Shador Sanders and them Cleveland Browns one more time just before the night's over. But we're going to get into it all. Are you ready? I think you are.
Hey, we live now, really.
What's going on? Hold on. My people can't even see me. What we doing? What's going on, my beautiful people? Welcome back to another episode on the Golden Gems podcast, aka Golden Gems Media. You're here with the one and only, yours truly, Relly. Or you can call me Relly Gems, or you can call me Mr. Wilson, or you can call me Maine. Whatever you do, you can call me whatever you want. Just don't call me Collect. All right? Please just don't do that. But we here and we got a lot to get into today. We got some nightly updates, some nightly reactions to get into, and yes, we're gonna be living our best lives tonight. But I'm just curious. I just want to know how you doing. But not only how you doing. All right, before we get started, you know you gotta do me one solid. You know you gotta do me at least one favor. All right, please, before we get started, please make sure you do me this one favor. Please. Make sure you send this to your mommy, your daddy, your best friend of another friend, Lit Johnny, Lit Timmy, and don't forget about Lit Susie too. Make sure you send this to her. You can't keep all these gems to yourself. All right, that is selfish. All right, come on. We talk about this all the time. You can't be selfish. You can't be like that. It is not nice. It is not fun. All right, you can't do that. All right, so send these gems to everybody. All right, including your best friend of another friend. All right. But without further ado, yes, we have some Nolan Wells updates. And it's not really, I want to say updates. If you don't know, the Cajun Navy, yes, the Cajun Navy, they have just released their preliminary, I want to say, timeline. And with them releasing their timeline, we're going to get into their timeline and whether we believe it's relevant or not. Nancy Grace, she had some of them on or a few of them on. She got into it a little bit. We will take it up with her and we will get into some things that she talked about with her guests. But before we get into that and before we get into things with Nancy Grace, we will get into our bedroom lawyer because our bedroom lawyer had a few things to say. You know, our bedroom lawyer, she's out here putting in the work, putting in the groundwork. We appreciate her so much for continuing to always give us what we need. And that's daily updates and that's daily commentary. She does a hell of a job. All right, but without further ado, all right, please, once again, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. All right, don't be a stranger. All right, you ain't got to be like that. All right, make sure everybody get these gems because we about to get started. All right, I appreciate you, though. All right, thank you for always tuning in. Thank you for always showing love. I mean, it goes a long way. Like I always say, I'm grateful for you, and I appreciate you. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead. Can we get started? All right, so coming up, we revisit. Yes, we were going to revisit the call. All right, the call that Nancy Grace has played over and over again. This CTO call. So if you don't know, this CTO call that was basically like a 911 call or a call to the dispatch for the boys who were on the boat to potentially get help. It was a lot of noise and other things potentially going on in the background, and it has gone viral and it has taken over the internet, just the audio in general, because the audio, we suspect potentially with the audio and hearing the audio, some foul play. So let's go ahead and get right into it. All right. Bedroom lawyer. We're going to listen to it. We're going to talk about it. Then we're going to get into everything that has to do with this Nolan Wells case. And I'm going to give you all the updates that you need. Let's get into it.
I want you to hear another version.
You can see that I have the CTO channel completely muted, so we're only listening to the callers. Then I go through and simply raise the volume of all of the chatter we hear at the beginning of the call.
Okay.
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and
Our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can y'all please come? We have a membership. No, let's go.
Oof.
Susan, that was enhanced by my producer, Sydney. I know her like that. Hear it. I want you to hear another version.
Like that, Lacey.
You can see that I have the CTO channel completely muted, so we're only listening to the callers.
Okay.
Then I go through and simply raise the volume of all of the chatter we hear at the beginning of the call.
Is he dead?
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can y'all please come? We have a membership.
We got a member. Okay.
Let's go. Susan, that was enhanced by my producer, Sydney. I know her like that. Hear it. I want you to.
And with that, our bedroom lawyer had
what's interesting about the Nancy Grace CTO audio is that it appears maybe in the beginning they were saying, can we cover him up? And that's going to be an interesting thing to argue. Were they saying, can we cover it up or can we cover him up?
Yeah.
Very, very, very interesting there. But here's the thing. The most important thing that the CTO audio proves is that Nolan was on that boat. They were screaming his name, Nolan, Nolan, Nolan. And then they were saying, is he dead? Now, whether or not you can infer what happened from that, I don't know. But you definitely can infer that Nolan was on that boat and that they were well aware that he was not alive anymore. Now, do what you will with that. Now, what's interesting about the Nancy Grace...
But do we agree with her saying that? Because with the Nancy Grace audio, it's coming from somebody that, you know, people can, I want to say, connect more to. They can respect where she is coming because she looks like some of the people, you know, who maybe feel a little uncomfortable with this story in particular. Right. But with that being said, you know, it comes down to, do we trust the audio? And Nancy being a former prosecutor, I'm not going to lie to you. I trust it. I believe in it, because at the end of the day, dog, she wouldn't. She would not, in my opinion, she would not. She would not. I want to say, play some over and over and over and over and over again and over again, like she has been doing, if it wasn't real, if it wasn't something to it, right? Just saying. But let's hear it again. Not really.
Let me go back to Janetta Brantley, who sat there very calm and composed and articulate and showed you exactly how she did her process. And you all try to look up her arrest from 20 years ago for the same shit y'all's kids.
She's talking about the female Jeanette, right? The female Jeanette who basically ultimately made the original call, and people didn't want to believe it. People started looking up her arrest. People started looking in her background. All right. With this Jeanette Burnett girl. All right. With her in particular, she enhanced the audio, and all she did, she showed us a whole process, exactly how Nancy Grace and the woman who she had enhanced audio did the same thing. But some people, once again, they believe in Nancy Grace, which I am wholeheartedly, I'm here for, because I believe Nancy Grace, but they didn't want to believe, at least some people, what the audio expert, who actually is a Grammy Award winner, had to say. So it brings a lot of things into question. Now, with that being said, let's get back to our bedroom lawyer. We're going to go through a few more of her videos. All right. We're going to go through a few more of her videos. All right. And then after that, we will move on. Okay. Sounds good. All right. Appreciate you.
Why I said the beginning of the call is interesting. Were they saying cover him up or cover it up? And this person says he was alive when he got on the boat and died while he was on it. Cover it or cover him doesn't change the event. Oh, but it changes the charge big time. It is very, very significant.
That is true.
Because if we can prove they said cover it up, that's obstruction. If they meant cover him up, they might have just been trying to show respect for a dead body. So it changes the charge to a significant degree if you can prove it was cover it up and not cover him up. It's very, very important, those words. Very huge significance.
So she was saying basically with Nancy Grace's call, I will play it again. Obviously, we will look at another video. Since we're talking about the call, I will play this audio again. So that way y'all can go ahead and take a look at it. Because Secret Service Sam, he basically did a way better job with getting the audio. And yeah, let's hear what he had to say. All right. He's going to play the audio so that way you can hear it a little clearer. And then we're going to come back to our bedroom lawyer. All right. And I got you. Don't worry. Trust me. We're going to get to some Nancy videos as well. But right now, I want to use some of the influencers or the people who are just, you know, sideline investigators. All right. We're going to hear from them first. And then we're going to get to the legitimate people who I know we're going to get their word and we're going to get information that we can trust. All right. So we can speculate a little bit. Why not? Right. Everybody's doing it. No, I'm kidding. I'm only bringing out legitimate sources or people who I trust who's been covering this case. Oh, that's on me, y'all. That's on me.
Her producer, Sydney, enhanced the CETO audio. Now, here's my question. Why do we have to have somebody white enhance the audio when Janetta Brantley did it so brilliantly, does the same thing, and now Nancy is like, look, I know Sydney. She would never do anything. She has no horse in this race, you know, like one of her little colloquialisms. But listen to this real quick.
We have a lot of questions that have to be answered. Is the sound real? Has it been enhanced? Who enhanced it? Was it AI or doctored before Janetta Brantley pumped it up so we can hear it? I want you to hear another version.
You can see that I have the CETO channel completely muted, so we're only listening to the callers. Then I go through and simply raise the volume of all of the chatter we hear at the beginning of the call.
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can you all please come? We have a membership.
What's crazy is this time I do hear, and as you can see in the text, want me to cover him up. Cover who up?
Or cover
you hear up. Nolan. We hear, oh my God. We hear Nolan don't die. We hear get in the boat. We hear shut the F up. We hear damn it, Bart. It's there. Okay, but my question is, why do we all slander Janetta Brantley? Okay, she's the one who needs to have a defamation case. Now you have all these boys and Sarah J. Fields and all these people starting up Give, Send, Goes because they want to grift and they want to make money off of this because they see that comforting white fragility is very financially beneficial, right? But my question is, why does it take a person, a white person who did the exact same thing that Janetta Brantley did for us to say, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, I think it's real now. It was real when Janetta did it, and make sure you support her. She is a beautiful, amazing, brilliant audio engineer who gave the world our first listen at what was really going on, allegedly, in the back of that phone call. Secret.
So who he's talking about, if you don't know who he's talking about, I will gladly show you who she is. All right. So with that being said, if you don't know who she is, I will show you a small little video of her, or should I just show you a picture of her? I guess we'll see. But actually here, I'll just play this clip. Why not? Why not? This is Janetta Brantley, though.
Everything we're seeing and experiencing with Sarah is
This is
just
Jeanette Brantley.
motivating me more to go harder. I sincerely believe that no one should be able to utilize that platform to spew hate, division, incite harassment, doxing, and other forms of harm. Everything that Sarah is, everything that the people like her are, they are projecting onto innocent, good people.
So basically, I just wanted to show you this is Jeanette Brantley. All right, she's the one who got a lot of backfire for enhancing the audio because a lot of people thought she was doing it for clicks, thought that she was doing it just because, thought she, basically did notorious things to it, or nefarious. There we go, nefarious things to it, and it wasn't just real audio, right? So with that being said, we're gonna get into a few other updates as far as Nolan Wells goes. All right, we will go ahead and continue to talk to our bedroom lawyer. Okay. And then after that, I got a few more updates from you from independent media people, and then we will get to some real sources and real people.
The hardest thing to piece together now is when the fight occurred and where the fight occurred and when they put him on the boat. In other words, how long did they know he was dying or dead before they tried to make that CTO call? That's the interesting thing, because it does appear that like there was a fight that broke out on the island, right? And that's probably where he got injured. And then they tried to rush him onto the boat, and then he died on the boat. And then they were panicking and they had to make up a story, and they called CTO. That's kind of what it feels like. But how you prove all of that, is difficult. But that CTO call didn't just align up perfectly with him dying. Like that was they're trying to way to get out of it. I think
that's a fact. And with that being said, not only do we have to figure out where the fight occurred, because we know it had to have been some type of fight. At this point, we know that there was foul play. Yes, we haven't got the autopsy back. Yes, we haven't gotten certain things back. But at this point, I think we all can lean on to the understanding that something potentially happened with Nolan on that boat and during that sea call. Something potentially happened where Nolan, at the end of the day, hey, he potentially was unalived. And now we need to figure out whether if he was on that boat or not. But with that CTO call, I think we kind of figured that part out. So now, where did the fight occur? What happened during the fight? And Secret Service Sam, he has potentially something that we should take a look at.
Sam here for a Nolan Xavier Wells update. And here's something interesting. As we know, the autopsy showed a red area on the back of his neck. We also have heard little allegedly allegations that the boys on the island, when they were fighting, some people said that there looked like some people who were like MMA fighters, like jiu-jitsu fighters. Now, we also know some of the boys involved have taken jiu-jitsu, right? Stay with me. Now, if you notice, this is a jiu-jitsu or martial arts chokehold. And these types of chokeholds, they don't fracture anything. They just suffocate the victim and unalive them. And I'm not saying anything. This is all allegedly.
Yes.
But what if it is possible that this is what happened to Nolan and that he was choked? And wouldn't that make sense why the medical examiner would not include his throat, the lungs? Is it possibly because he was asphyxiated, choked? I don't know. What do you guys think in the comments? Let me know. Secret Service Sam out. Samson for president of the world.
So what do y'all think about that theory? I mean, he could have been choked. Maybe that explains a little redness behind his head. Maybe that explains why they kept his throat. Right? Just a theory to throw out there. Allegedly, right? Because we don't know. We don't know. But that's the thing, man. That's the thing. All we can do now is just wait, sit, ponder. But if we're really thinking about it, the most important and crucial evidence that we have is that CETO call. It's the CETO call. But that's the thing. With the autopsy, we kind of know what they're gonna say with the autopsy, don't we? We kind of know what they're gonna say with the autopsy. I mean, this case is a little different. It's a little different. And with it being a little different, let's see what our Bivern lawyer has to say before we get into Nancy Grace.
Mind-blowing at how this case turned out. Because, I mean, when I started on this case, I had no idea what this was going to lead to. And I was like, stop being ridiculous, you guys. This was nothing. This was not a race. We're going to look at it objectively, and I'm going to show you exactly why. And as we kept uncovering fucking like things, I just couldn't believe. I mean, you can scroll down and just see from the moment I started and how objective I was and how, things shifted and turned to foul play. And I couldn't believe it. I was shocked because I was like, oh God, I know it's Mississippi, but like everybody thinks it's this racist thing and it's not a racist thing. And I was like, I'm going to show y'all. And look, proved y'all fucking right. Proved y'all the fuck right. And it's mind-blowing at how this case turned out. Because, I mean, when I started on this case, I had no idea what this was.
And I agree with her. This case has taken a turn that we all, just at the end of the day, want answers to. But I want to tell you this. And I want to show you this. Because for somebody to be now coming at Nolan Wells' mother's job, before we get into everything else, right? Before we get into everything else, actually, I should wait to actually touch on this. Let's see. Yeah, we're going to wait to touch on that. All right, we're going to wait. But one of the craziest things that we have to get to the bottom of, Bivern lawyer, we're going to continue to give you the stage for a good 2 more minutes. Go ahead. What you got to say?
This thing is the pool party story, which, I think had some true elements in it, but had a lot of red herrings. And I think the most important thing about that story was who.
And what she said right there is key. We're going to go through and she's going to explain what red herrings are, right? Essentially, it's things that get your attention off of potentially what truly happened. It's a story that potentially, the opposing or the people who are actually involved, what they do to potentially throw people off the case or throw people off of, their suspicions.
Was not mentioned in it. And two things cannot be true there. He couldn't have died on the boat and at the basketball goal. So since we have the actual audio, like that's a more solid piece of evidence than anything that the basketball goal story would prove. But it is interesting that such and such also has a basketball goal. But yeah, the most important thing about that story is who's not mentioned in it. Allegedly. So think about that. The craziest thing is the pool party story, which,
So the pool party story versus the boat. Where was Nolan? Where did he end up? Was he on a boat? Was he at the pool party? But now this goes into all the red herrings that they're throwing. Because what's the truth? What really happened? Will we get the truth? That's the thing. We got to fizzle out the red herrings and the stories that's fake and the stories that are potentially not true. Because maybe that's to throw not only us off, investigators off as well. But she'll explain it a little bit better.
Would have wrote that story. Well, if you have trained legal professionals that understand what red herrings are and understand what happens when you're trying to cover something up and that you would need a red herring, I think it's pretty understandable who could have maybe helped with that story. The main purpose of a red herring is to send you on a wild goose chase, and it's never going to be the people who are responsible mentioned in there.
Yeah.
You notice in the story, they were saying that Warren was filming. So they had to kind of put some people in there that they knew that could make it credible, but also not extend culpability to them. They said it was Andrew and Evan, right? But then they said the other two were filming. So this is going to be this case will definitely be taught in law schools. This case will like definitely be made into like all kinds of movies and stuff.
So and we gonna get all that. We do get all that, but the red herons are basically things that basically throw people off the scent, throw people off of what's really happening, what's really going on. I mean, but if we really think about it, she's about to say something that's going to be crucial. And after this, these are going to be the last 2 words that we give her for the night before we retire our bedroom lawyer for a bit. All right, but listen to what she says. Listen to what she says about the lawyer, right? Warren's mom getting involved. The one who's supposed to be, a well-trained, a renowned lawyer out in Mississippi, Well, not lawyer, former lawyer, but she's a judge. But miss, if you're a judge, that means you know a lot more than we do. So you have the right to remain silent. Just saying.
About how slow these people are in Mississippi. I mean, imagine you're a trained lawyer, a licensed attorney, and a sitting judge, triply well aware of your right to remain silent. And your fucking caucasity, your fucking privilege blinds you to the point you're going to go put your own kid or stepkid or whatever on a podcast in the middle of an open investigation for the world to see him lying about everything. I've never seen such caucasity in my life. Like, there's no podcast. Baby, you fucking not talking to nobody until this shit's over with. Are you dumb? I mean, the most educated people in Mississippi are still a bunch of slows blinded by their own privilege. Just thinking about how slow these.
When she came out, what is she thinking? We can say whatever we want. We can say whatever we want, and they'll believe it. I'm a lawyer. I'm a judge, right? It don't work like that. It don't work like that at all. At all. And the thing that I really want to talk about, though, is how people are coming at Nolan's mom. Like, Nolan's mom shouldn't have anything to do with anything besides being allowed to grieve. But Secret Service Sam, what's going on with Nolan's mom before we continue to move on?
Sam here with a Nolan Xavier Wells update and a message to the people of Ocean Springs or anybody worldwide who is messing with Christine Walmsley. Keep her name out of your mouth. Did you hear that? I just walked up on stage and smacked her name out of your mouth. Why would she have to come on social media and dispel rumors that she has been fired? So here is her message. I wanted to take a moment to clear the air regarding my employment with Memorial Health System. I am still employed at Memorial Health System as a family nurse practitioner. I was not fired. Following the tragic passing of my son, I am taking time away from work to grieve and to heal, which I believe anyone can understand. Memorial Health System has been incredibly accommodating and supportive during this difficult time as I navigate the trauma of losing my son along with public scrutiny I have been experiencing. For that, I am sincerely grateful. Thank you to everyone who has reached out with kindness, prayers, and support. My focus right now is on healing and honoring my son's memory. Justice for Nolan Wells, forever 18.
See, and that's the thing, though, y'all. Why does Christine has to come out? Why does Christine has to come out? Why does she have to come out and release a statement talking about her job? Why does she have to do that? Well, it's because people are leaving her negative and bad reviews. It's also because they also started to go after her goddamn nurse practitioner's license. That's how dirty we getting out here. Y'all trying to intimidate the mom? Talk to him, Secret Service.
Secret Service Sam here with a Nolan Xavier Wells update from the office of Ben Crump. Nationally renowned civil rights and personal injury attorney Ben Crump issued a statement after Christine Wells Walmsley, the mother of Nolan Wells, was notified that the Mississippi Board of Nursing has opened a professional misconduct investigation against her based on a complaint filed by an anonymous person. Nolan Wells was found on Horn Island on July 6, 2026. His cause of death remains undetermined and an independent autopsy was inconclusive. Attorney Crump issued the following statement. Christine Wells Walmsley was robbed of her son 1 month ago, almost to the day. She has spent every moment since asking one question: what happened to Nolan? Now someone is going after her nursing license anonymously without the courage to put a name on it. This is a warning shot at a grieving mother meant to pressure and scare her into staying quiet. It is a distraction. It is an intimidation, and we will not let it stand. Christine had part of her identity stolen from her the day Nolan died. Now someone is trying to take another piece of it. This cruelty knows no bounds. Look at the timeline. Christine has cared for patients in Mississippi throughout her career, years of service to her patients without a single complaint against her to the Board of Nursing.
So she's gone her whole career. She's gone. The mother of Nolan Wells has gone her whole nurse career without getting out one single complaint. And now you mean to tell me the mother who just lost her son has to release statements talking about her job and her work, has to have her attorney release a statement talking about how her license is now being investigated, all because she asked for answers about what happened to her son? Are y'all serious? That's how low people are? Like, regardless of whatever side of the aisle, like I keep on saying this, regardless of whatever side of the aisle you own, there was still somebody in a family who lost their life. This is still a mother who is grieving because her son lost his life. And you mean to tell me we got people out here really calling her job, leaving bad reviews, and then you calling the Mississippi Department of Nurses Board to try to get her license revoked, all because she's asking for answers about what happened to her son? This says more about the people in America than anything, in our society and our culture, because this is what's appropriate. That shit is disgusting and horrible, if I'm being honest with you. But I digress.
Then her son was found dead. She did what any grieving mother would do. She took a leave of absence to bury her child and search for answers. And only now, after all that, does an anonymous person want the Board of Nursing to believe she is a bad nurse. Nothing about her practice changed. The only thing that changed is that she started asking questions. As she continues to grieve her son and seek answers about what happened to him, she is now also forced to defend her professional record. No family should accept that, and no institution should tolerate it. Attacking a grieving mother's career does not answer the question of what happened to Nolan. It tells us the question matters, and the answer is scaring somebody.
That is key. Let's drop a bomb for Ben Crump for pointing out the god dang obvious. They wouldn't be doing this if the whispers weren't real. They wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't some maybe foul play at play. I believe that the milk is not clean. Something is dirty in the milk. In the words of Carlos Moore. But seriously, though, they're hearing the creeps and the footsteps. They're hearing the internet damn near close in on what really happened. So yeah, y'all can try to intimidate her, try to keep her shut up and have her go away and stop looking for answers for her son, but it ain't gonna work.
We will keep asking questions and demanding the facts until Christine knows how her son died. What type of coward attacks a grieving mother like this? But we have an update. The case has been closed by the MSBON. Thank you for all those who have constantly kept us in your prayers. This definitely has added more hurt to an already devastating time because I love my job and I love my patients. Why would the MSBON even open this investigation in the first place? This is disgraceful. We need to make sure to donate to Christine Walmsley's GoFundMe because this woman should never have to worry about money again. And shameful to whoever did this to Christine.
Yes, that is shameful. That is shameful. Like, to be quite honest with you, like, all jokes aside, like all BS aside, this is not the joking matter, but for a grieving mother to have to answer these questions, even for the Mississippi board, like she hasn't had a complaint her whole career for even you opening an investigation. I know, that's probably what y'all obligated to do, but you should have known that if it's coming from an anonymous source and that anonymous source doesn't have anything to back it up, why even entertain it? Why even open an investigation into her? Because that's kind of a little bit disrespectful, in my opinion, because at the end of the day, if she's never had the track record and she's been a nurse for over however many years, and she ain't never had anybody say anything about how bad or how she was doing. Yeah, that should say a lot. So please, for all the people out there, for anybody out here who's sending death threats to either family, either the boys or sending death threats to the mother, please just stop and let the case play itself out. Because it's not fair to either side. It's not fair to anybody. All right. Let things come out. Period, point blank. And please leave these families alone. Seriously. Because it's going to get to that point where it's not going to just be 1, 2, or 3. A lot of people going to be going to jail over this. And we already seeing, one side of the aisle, they're getting, at the end of the day, hey, at the end of the day, my friends, one side of the aisle, they're having people arrested for making threats. But we shall see how things go. But anyway, next little update I got you, because we're saving Nancy Grace for last. We got to save her, the icing on top. We're going to get back to Nancy, I promise you.
The only Black person amongst his group of all-white friends that he traveled to the island with. But now a new investigation released by the United Cajun Navy is helping close up some speculation, as they would provide new pictures and gathered information. Now, at the center of the report, they would highlight key boats connected to the case, their movements, Wells's whereabouts, and more.
So what they're talking about is the report from Cajun Navy. Cajun Navy released like a 12-page, I think it's 12, it's either 12 or 29. I know that's a very big discrepancy, but it's either a 12-page document or it was a 29-page document, to where it details the timeline that the Cajun Navy, so the people who found Nolan's body, they did a detailed timeline, essentially. But you got to take it with a grain of salt, because some of the information, they couldn't even fact check it themselves. They were just using some of the information that the public gave them, some of the information that they already knew, to try to put together a timeline. And now this is my guy, Hype Man, talking about the timeline.
Now, after reviewing the 24-page report, one thing appeared to be very clear. After the boat Nolan Wells arrived on to Horn Island would depart around 4:30 p.m., the report did not find any credible evidence that he was still alive. If you can recall, the first time many of us heard about the story of Nolan Wells, it was accompanied by a picture of Wells and friends he went to the island with, which would signify that he was alive earlier that day on July 4th. Now, for whatever reason, it appears that pictures or any credible signs of life would not continue after the Triton boat he arrived on would allegedly take on water and begin to depart further away from the island, according to his friends, due to an issue with its bilge pump. For some, this is an interesting fact, given that if Nolan remained on the island, why did pictures of him not continue like the one that went viral? Now, what this means is previous reports of saying that witnesses saw Wells can also be challenged. A part of this new report, several new pictures would be shared, including a photo of a Black man in blue shorts.
Which, this is definitely not Nolan Wells. All right, so we got a picture of, because basically they were saying, hey, this is a picture, this is proof. In Cajun Navy, they actually put this in their report. But they put this in their report because they were like, oh, we seen a black male, walking the beach around 5:30, and it was sent to us. So, we couldn't rule it out because he had blue shorts. Well, sir, he has blue shorts, but he is dark as hell, and he don't look nothing like Nolan. He has damn near a beard if you really zoom all the way in. So, sir, y'all shouldn't even put this in y'all report. But, it is what it is. I digress. It's already been debunked. but this is definitely not Nolan Wells. So the mystery still upholds.
Walking the beach amongst a group of his white peers. From the looks of the photo, it does not appear to be Wells. Now, when it came down to another possible proof of Nolan still being alive when his friends left on the boat he came on with, the report was only able to provide the previous mentioned photo and a person passing secondhand information that a passenger of theirs felt.
And we will have Nancy Grace also debunk the hell out of this. All right, I just wanted to show you this video first because this video kind of gives you an overview of what really happened with this Nolan Wells case, in particular, what really happened with this picture and this Cajun Navy timeline that they released. Because a lot of people are taking this as a gospel, and it's not the goddamn gospel. To be quite honest with you, it's not much at all. It's not. The biggest piece of evidence that we have thus far in this case is the goddamn CTO audio, whether you want to believe it's real or not. But that is the biggest evidence that we have thus far in this case.
Felt certain that they saw Wells a part of one of the groups that was fighting that day. One of my passengers is pretty certain he was part of the group that was almost fighting around 5 p.m. The Bertrand with the blue top that I posted left shortly after that, and pretty fast. In response, a Facebook user would ask a follow-up question, whether the fight happened with others or amongst themselves, in which he would reply, the 3 people on the boat that saw it all say yes, it was amongst themselves. Now, this original statement of seeing Wells on another boat around 5 p.m. would immediately be challenged by a passenger of the alleged boat. The user would go on to write,
"Don't put me
Matthew
in this.
Lamb, sir, you are sadly mistaken. We are the group you yelled at as you pulled up thinking we were going to hit you, and we weren't, and we were paying attention. Love, totally different kid, was with us. I was with the Bertrand boat, and we had no affiliation with him. We hate to hear this has happened, but do not smear people if you did not actually see something happen. This causes more issues for the people in charge trying to find this baby, and it creates stories that are false. We did speak to the boys, and at that moment, he did have an entire vodka bottle in his hand. You need to revamp your statement and not put blame toward anyone. We don't even know what happened, but I will tell you, you are mistaken. Give the cops my name. I will let them know who we really had on our boats." Now, this lack of evidence that can back his friend's claims that Wells wanted to stay on the island because a girl he just met appears to be more proof for some, following a very questionable audio that was just released that is even more positioned to friends with being blamed for Wells' passing. As many look to speculate Wells' friends being a part of what some are calling a cover-up of his death, they have recently pushed back, while also asking people to support them through a newly launched donation page on their Give Send Go account, which has now reached $150,000.
So their Give Send Go. We talked about this the other day, Chad, but I just want to touch on it again. They ain't donating this money to Nolan's family. They started a Go Send Go in particular for them when their parents are doctors, lawyers. Dog, what y'all need money for, big dog? And then these proceeds, you see Benjamin Hudson, so that's Warren Hudson's dad. Y'all starting to go send me? And it's because you're saying that y'all are being victimized when Mrs. Wells is getting people that's coming out to her license, her nursing license, but y'all are the victims? I beg to differ, sir. I beg to differ. Yes, y'all are getting death threats, but everybody's getting death threats. Damn near even Nancy Grace herself is getting death threats. Even the persons who enhance the audio, Jeanette, she's getting death. Everybody who's talking about this case and who's a major figure, everybody getting death threats. So join the club. But for y'all to start basically a GoFundMe, essentially, even though it's on another platform, and y'all, what you gonna do with the money? I'm just asking for a friend. Crazy. And y'all already then raised $150,000. That's damn near almost more than what the mother who lost her son got. Shit's crazy, dog. And y'all don't think that makes y'all look any bit of suspicious or adds any more shit to the goddamn circus that's already been the story? Crazy, dog.
in donations, they would write, "Since Nolan's death, Warren Hudson, Jack Spatalo, Morgan Seymour, and many others have been inundated with death threats, threats of violence, and defamation. They have been falsely and wrongly blamed by individuals online and in the media by either directly or indirectly having a hand in Nolan's death. Most of them could not attend their own best friend's funeral. Why? Because race baiters send a deranged army after them online in the name of justice. Since the beginning of the investigation, these young men have cooperated with authorities."
But y'all saying that they sent a rage baiter? Hold on, let's read this together, chat. Y'all saying that they sent a race baiter towards them? Dog. Dog, ain't nobody race baiting. Y'all just continuing to draw more and more and more and more and more attention to yourselves. Your son did a whole podcast when he should just be shutting the hell up until the case and the investigation is over. Because why do a whole podcast? What do you need to defend? You have the right to remain silent, just like the rest of your friends have been. But no, you needed a spokesperson. And the spokesperson was your goddamn son, who you are the father, and you're starting this GoFundMe for your son. I thought you were a doctor, sir. I thought your wife is a judge, not a lawyer. She's a judge, actually. So she makes even more money. I'm lost. Well, let's continue.
Turned over all information they had and provided an overwhelming number of witnesses accounting for their whereabouts. Some of them even resorted to speaking up publicly to defend themselves against baseless allegations. One user who would donate $250 would go on to write, "I hope y'all tear their race-baiting, money-grabbing black ashes up." Now, for many, his friends, even launching a donation page under the current circumstances is very questionable behavior and will cause several users on TikTok to sound off.
Y'all won't even believe this shit. Stand with Nolan Wells' targeted friends. They are trying to raise $100,000. These little sons of bitches are out here trying to get sympathy donations, and they've already raised over $20,000. Saying on Independence Day weekend 2026, lives were changed forever when a group of friends lost their best friend. No family should have to endure the pain of losing a son, and no friend should have to grieve the loss of a brother. Of a brother? You mean the brother that you left? Allegedly. You mean the brother that you allegedly left after he had been drinking? Allegedly.
But that's the thing. That kind of begs the question, too. If all of y'all are saying Nolan was drinking, he was drunk, right? Nolan was drinking, he was drunk. But he decided to leave his phone on the boat, and y'all wouldn't at least make sure he had his phone if he's standing on the island and he's drunk. And then on top of that, if he's your best friend, that's your boy, right? As y'all say, he's your best friend. Why would you even let him stay to talk to a girl? Dog, no, get your ass on this goddamn boat. We got to go. We leaving. You drunk as hell. No, I don't want to hear nothing. Y'all. Or you said Bart kept on calling his name, trying to get him in the boat. Wouldn't y'all just wait or just call his mom or call somebody? Hey, tell Nolan get in the boat because he's drunk. He's getting out of hand. He needs to get on the boat so that way we can get him home safe. Why wouldn't you fight harder for your best friend to get on the boat if he's impaired and then he doesn't have his phone? Y'all ended up with his phone, right? So if that's my friend, that's my homie, dog, hey, here, at least take your phone, man, so that way we know you're safe. Dog, we know you drunk, so hey, here's your phone. Make sure you're safe. Text us whenever you get back. Let us know, who you riding back with, just so that way we know you're safe. Those are things that friends would kind of take into consideration. Friends would do. And friends, I've never seen friends of somebody who died start a GoFundMe. Never. Yeah, y'all getting death threats and getting all these threats and things of that nature. But y'all the ones who talking. Y'all the ones doing podcasts. You had the right to remain silent. Y'all should have stayed your ass silent. And y'all continue to do this and do that and talk and do that. It's not helping.
You mean the brother where you literally didn't go to the funeral? You're literally making this about you and not about Nolan right now. This is victimhood, but I'm not surprised. I'm never surprised by the caucasity of you people.
Right here, this is what white privilege is called. White privilege, right here. Right here. It is disgusting. They're not raising money for Nolan's family. They're not helping out. No, it's only about them. This is what they've been doing since day one, protecting their own asses. That's all they care about. You know what someone said to me the other day? You're really judging these white boys. Have you not opened your eyes and seen how they are moving? How their family is moving,
Dang, she took
what their actions are, how their behavior is.
Dang, she took all the words right out of my mouth. Wow. Seems like she just has eyes too. She's just been paying attention to the case a little bit as well. Interesting.
How their body language is, how they're even expressing stuff. You don't go on some racist mega podcast guy and you get interviewed by him. No, you don't do that.
Well, you do that if you're paying him. Did y'all not hear that come out? Yes. Brandon Tatum, he's actually on their payroll. Yeah. He's actually their urban, what is the word I'm looking for? Urban specialist or urban president or something like that. Yeah, Brandon Tatum. The reason why they went on an interview with Brandon Tatum is because they're paying Brandon Tatum. Shit's crazy. The circus continues.
If you actually care about the family and care about Nolan, you would be doing everything to find answers.
Thanks.
Now, according to the latest reports, the official investigation is still considered ongoing. So if there is proof that Nolan was still alive on the island when his friends left, it has yet to be revealed by local authorities and investigators assigned to the case. Let's talk about it more in the comments below. Do you find it suspicious that after the boat Wells would leave on, a new report by the United Cajun Navy could not find any credible source that he was still alive after 4:31 p.m.? Reporting live from Hypebeast Club, Fright Plus News, I'm Janaba.
Yeah. And now, with that being said, you waited. You've been patient. And now we got to get to the one and only Nancy Grace herself. Dun, dun, dun. Actually, hold on. Before we get into Nancy Grace, actually, I'm going to save her for a little bit. Carlos Moore, what you got to say about the case? This is a former judge. Of course, you see our guy there, Secret Service Sam. And we see Judge Carlos Moore, the retired judge from Mississippi. Yes, he's a retired judge from Mississippi. His opinion is a very valuable one. His opinion is one that we should trust as a former judge in the state of Mississippi.
But yeah, things are not going normal, as normal as they should in Mississippi, based on my past experiences being there. I'm a former prosecutor, former judge there, as well as a former private practitioner.
So you're a former private practitioner, former judge. And boy, you got a lot of credentials, so you might know a little something there, huh? Okay.
And I have not seen anything like this in my time there in Mississippi. So I'm very surprised that things are not going as they should in my own
Interesting. Now, how do you mean things are not going as they should? Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, I do know that usually prosecutors, law enforcement, or whatever, they go for the low-hanging fruit, and there's so much there to pick from, so many things that people could have been prosecuted for by now, or at least arrested for by now. I mean, there's underage drinking. I mean, in Mississippi, the legal drinking age is 21. So anyone under 21 caught drinking, or that's underage drinking, contributing to the delinquency of minors. Anyone who bought the alcohol for the minors, that is illegal in Mississippi. Someone could be arrested for that. Theft, grand larceny, petty larceny, that's illegal in Mississippi.
Right, the cell phone, the keys is what you're meant.
Correct. So you had someone saying, "Give me my phone back, my freaking phone back, my effing phone back," and no one gave the phone back. So why not arrest that person? Clearly, there's witnesses that know who had the phone.
Right.
Allegations of illicit drug use. Drugs are still illegal in Mississippi. Nobody's been arrested for that. And so there's so much there that pressure could have been applied to certain people to have them to speak towards the ultimate crime of murder. But here, it has not happened. And that's the normal way that crimes are solved. If you put pressure on folks for lesser crimes and they initially spill the beans, they eventually spill the beans on the greater crime.
Interesting. That's an interesting perspective. Yeah, because my question is, like, you hear
that is an interesting perspective. Because if they really want to arrest them, or they really just want to bring them in and just interrogate them a little bit harder, just arrest them for underage drinking. Just arrest some people close to them. You know, put the butts to the fire a little bit. You know, just do that. Apply a little bit of pressure. You might just get somebody to crack. But when you don't do nothing, you just sit back and let them get their story together. Let them rehearse it time and time and time and over and over and over again. Let them cover it up. Wipe stuff clean. Months go by. Phones, evidence, you can't get to it anymore. Just saying.
The interviews of the two boys that have appeared, they both admit that everybody's drinking. They admit they're driving on a boat. Is that enough to get you prosecuted? I mean, are they in a sense admitting that they committed a crime, and that you could say, look, you guys said on tape that, you know, nobody's 21. You say, people are drinking. Is that kind of incriminating what, Warren and them were saying?
It is incriminating. Anything you say can and will be, and can be used against you. It used to be can and will be used against you, but in this instance, it has not been used against them, and I could only imagine why not. Because had the roles been reversed and 3 blacks come back to land and a white person was dead, they would have applied all kind of pressure, and there would have been some arrests within 24 hours of them making it back to land. Yeah,
we would have seen it all over the news. I mean, I can see it in my head now. They would be getting marched into that police station in Mississippi. The town would come together. You know, I think that's part of, how people say, a lot of, people, don't everybody has to make about race, Ben Crump, a race baiter and race divider and all this stuff. But I think, like, you hit it on the head. What makes this about race is, and I keep saying this, it's not necessarily that whatever happened to Nolan was based on his race, but it's funny. It's the aftermath of how the media narrative, how they treat it. I was even saying in the Carmelo Anthony trial or other trials, generally, like when it's a black man, a white man, or whichever gender, the white kid is always like, you see the high school picture, them like smiling, and a football picture or whatever. And then all we saw, like with Carmelo Anthony, was his mugshot, and just a no smile. They don't project innocence at all. And they don't, and this like light of who this kid was, they really go after assassinating their character. And yeah, we know if they were black, they would have been arrested within 24 hours. Like you said, we would have known all of their names. They would be sitting in jail until this trial comes around. And do you think it's just the influence of this town that these kids?
That's a fact.
I mean, the fact that they're able to go on Tatum's show and just do these, canned interviews. Like, I what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's very odd, especially if it was my best friend that had been killed, mysteriously died. I would have been at the funeral. I understand that Officer Tatum interviewed one of the guys on the day of the funeral. I drove from Atlanta to be there in Mississippi for the funeral. And so why couldn't that person that was allegedly the friend be there, just go a few miles up the road to be at the funeral? I'll never understand that.
And you were at the funeral. I didn't know that. Can you tell us, like, what was that like? Did you see any of the boys that were in some of these photos at all? Or what was your experience there at the funeral?
Yeah, the pain was palpable. I felt my heart really went out to the mother and the father. I mean, sometimes Christine Wansley's cry was inconsolable. I mean, it was just heart-wrenching to witness. And then I could just imagine
All right, so I appreciate him asking the question about the funeral, but he gets to some deeper and some better answers to this case, and I really want y'all to see that part. So we're going to go ahead and zoom forward.
When they talk about Ben Crump, that they act like he's this cancer that's been brought into Mississippi to stirring up all these race, and it's like, this is Mississippi at the end of the day. And I found it very disrespectful that Trayston would be angry that Ben Crump was, he made it 1,000% worse. They don't know who they're messing with. And it's like, but you're talking about the family. The family hired Ben Crump to come in and get justice for their son. So if you're his true best friend, wouldn't you say, oh, thank God Ben Crump is here. We need to get to the bottom of this. To me, when you're angry at Ben Crump, that tells me you're trying to cover something up, or you don't want something to be uncovered, because they just want the family to hire nobody and to just roll over and say, okay, it was accidental, even though all you guys are acting kind of suspicious and you're not really telling me what happened. If they said, Miss Christine, here is what happened. He fell off the boat, he hit his head, we did our best, we called the cops, we called an ambulance immediately or something. But, what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, the people that were last known to be around Nolan, their actions have been very suspicious. And so
have they not?
I don't blame Christine and Elmore at all for hiring Ben Crump, who's an excellent attorney, in my opinion, to come in and do an independent investigation, to lead an independent investigation, and to shed the light of day on some things. I mean, the family is asking for transparency. They're not getting that from the local law enforcement. And if Tristan wanted to be mad at anyone, he should be mad at the local sheriff, Ledbetter, who came out within a day of the death of Nolan and said that no foul play was suspected. How could he not suspect foul play so soon? No autopsy had been done. The investigation had just started. And so how can you not suspect foul play? Why wouldn't you?
Exactly. Why wouldn't you suspect foul play? If this man washed up on a beach, on a shore, right? After being with his friends the whole day for basically the 4th of July, and nobody knows nothing to seeing anything, at least you can say, is right now we're still investigating. We don't know what happened, but we will get back to the public for more. We will get back to the public if we have more answers to your questions eventually. That's all you had to say. That's all you had to say. But for you to say there's no suspected of foul play and it looks like just an accidental drowning, coming out after 5 minutes after you just found the body and saying that, that's not smart. That's not a bright thing to do. It's just going to bring on more questions.
Right. And I know Sheriff Ledbetter, I've done some research on him, and he comes from his family is they've all been the sheriff. It's like this thing that's passed down generation after generation. And I think what a lot of people don't grasp about Mississippi is it wasn't more than 60 years ago where they were killing people in Mississippi. They were holding picnics to lynch people and this and that. So do you think that just went away? Your great grandfather was probably part of that, and then your grandfather, and then it's just, I don't understand how people don't get that racism is passed down generation to generation. It's not something that just goes away. But what do you think just in the ways that he has handled it? I know your video that went viral and everything, can you explain to people a little bit what just gets your spidey senses going that just something doesn't seem right in the way they're handling it? Stacey Turner, the medical examiner, I know she has a history of ruling things undetermined or accidental. So, just explain to us how the whole system is kind of working against Nolan.
Yeah, and Sam, I'm from Mississippi, so I can talk about Mississippi. It really stinks to high heaven, some of the things that I've seen and witnessed during my time there. And so I'm so happy to be living in Atlanta, Georgia now because.
And we will get back to that. But let's get into Nancy Grace. I know this is what y'all been waiting for. All right.
Navy, the U.S. Cajun Navy, based on all sorts of statistical data,
New photos are emerging. Take a look at this photo before we go to the Cajun Navy. Look at this. Check out what you're seeing. Look at all the boats surrounding where Nolan was. Leave up the photo out to Caitlin Becker, senior national correspondent, New York Post, star of New York Postcast, their new podcast. Caitlin, what are we seeing?
What are we seeing?
Well, what we're seeing here comes from this new report from the United Cajun Navy, and you're seeing several boats strung together. This is one of the first images that we've seen of this certain configuration of boats there. They're all identified, one of which was the boat that Nolan came out there on. There's several others kind of anchored with it and tied up, which begs the question of where was Nolan when this photo was taken, because it's unclear if he's actually in it. What time was this photo actually taken? So what you're seeing here is, as you said, a potential pool of witnesses.
Hey, Caitlin, look at this.
So you mean to tell me 1 boat, 2 boat, 3 boat, 4. 1 boat, 2 boat, 3 boat, 4. All these boats, they're all ported together. You see all these group of people, all these group of kids. You mean nobody saw nothing? Nobody was with Nolan. Nobody was kicking it with him. Nobody was spending time with him. Nobody saw anything. That's crazy. That's crazy.
There's boat number 1. There's boat X. There's boat number 2. There's boat number 3. And there's a boat from which the photo is taken. Now, look in the water. There much has been made. Nolan Wells was drinking. Okay, well, apparently everybody was. They all have containers, open containers in the water. Okay, as far as I know, that's not a felony. Boat number 1, full of people. Boat X, full of people. Boat number 2, full of people. Boat number 3, full of people. People on the boat from which the photo was taken. Some of these boats tied together. You know what that means in my world, Caitlin Becker, joining us in the New York Post? Let me see, Caitlin, please. That means witnesses. See, when I look at that, I see witnesses. Other people say, hey, there's people having a good time. I see witnesses. Do you see all those people?
And a lot of
Caitlin?
them.
Who were they? Have they been spoken to? Have they been polygraphed? What can they tell me?
That is the question, right? We don't know from an investigative standpoint who has been spoken to, exactly who is in this photo, and what they have or haven't told law enforcement.
Yes, because
hasn't
nobody
really
has
any
said
transparency there. But
nothing.
from what our reporting has showed, there have been dozens of people who have spoken to law enforcement as witnesses. But Nancy, we don't know if it's any of these people that you're seeing in this little cove area. Right.
And you see Nolan right there. So that's Nolan's little head. Look at this little bean top, little muffin top, right? You see Nolan's little muffin top right there, right? That's little Nolan, rest in heaven, my guy. But you see Nolan right there. And you see all these group of people that he's surrounded by. A ton of people that he's surrounded by. And nobody was still there with him. Nobody saw anything.
Right here. And the timing, I think, is really important because these images are taken right around, I think the timeline's about 3:30-ish, 4:30-ish, when the boat that Nolan came out there on leaves and starts taking on water. That's one of the pegs for the timeline. When these photos were actually taken, that is a peg for a timeline. But what we don't know is where Nolan is. There he is. You can see that image right there. But we don't know is where Nolan was when that first image that we saw with all of those boats kind of tied together, when that was taken.
You are seeing a photo obtained by our friends at the United Cajun Navy. And speaking of the United Cajun Navy, joining me now is Brian Trasher, Vice President, United Cajun Navy. And for all of you attacking the United Cajun Navy, let's see that aerial footage they provide.
And some people have called it. First of all, I want to thank you for calling this report.
Right now, what she's about to do, all right, she is talking to the people who released the timeline for this Cajun Navy report. This Cajun Navy report was a 24-page timeline. not the investigator's timeline, not the timeline from the DA's department. No, this is an independent Cajun Navy, the ones who helped search and find Nolan Wells' body. They released a timeline to potentially either help authorities or assist with authorities and just give them some information potentially if they haven't already got it. Say if they haven't received any of these pictures or videos, they put it out there just to help out. Just, giving you some, because we ain't going to watch this whole thing.
What it is, and it's a timeline, and some people have called it an investigative report, and that's not accurate because, as you know, we're not investigators. And what we did, Nancy, was we asked our followers, say, hey, if anybody was there that day, you have pictures, videos, whatever, send it to us just so we can go through it, see if there's anything relevant. We took all that information and compiled it into just one digestible report of things we thought were relevant and could be helpful. Maybe they're not. Maybe law enforcement's already seen all this and it's nothing new to them. But we just wanted to be transparent about what we received. So going back to your question, the pictures that we received, we did not, as an organization, take any of these photographs. These are all images that we received from people who were trying to help us out and trying to help Nolan's family out.
So you asked the public for help and you got it. You got a treasure trove of photos. And I find this one significant. Guys, we've got an all-star panel, and I would like the all-star panel to look at their screen.
And on symbols and insignifications, but also in water that's treading water, to their chest, almost to their neck. And that's not really wading. That's treading water, in my opinion.
So he got into like the middle part of the interview where he had to remember which side that he was actually participating with. And he tried to say that if you're looking at the pictures, you see them treading water. So you see they're in dangerous waters. Potentially, if something, a wave or anything comes, a tide comes and it can take them right in. But
and that I thought might have been significant to know that many people were, perhaps enjoying some libations, but also in water that might have been a little too deep just to be playing in.
Good point. You also said something else really smart. And I certainly do not want to rely on this, but sometimes you have to, you take the evidence as you find it and you make the most of what you've got. You said you could tell this was late in the afternoon because of the shadowing. I wonder if the tide could tell me anything because how high up the water is. But these people holding drinks, they're not treading water, Trasher. They're standing there. These people are not treading water, and the water is up to their armpits. Is that the photo you're talking about as to where you think some of them are treading water, or are there other photos?
The photo at the top, yeah, you're right. It's about up to their armpit. I think there was one.
So he's basically saying that they're treading water. No, sir, they are not treading water. If they were treading water, you'll see them hands. They wouldn't just be standing straight up in the water chilling with drinks in their hand. If they were treading water, you will see the water being a little trumped. But everybody around this area, even the people in the back, they're standing straight up, sir. So the water was only about 3 or 4 feet.
Later in the report that showed some of the kids, this was a screenshot of a social media post, and there's 3 boats visible, one fourth boat further in the distance, but a lot of kids on one boat. I say kids, young people on one boat, some on the boat, some in the water. And some of them, it looks, maybe up to the armpit, but some of them, depending on their own height, it looks like it's, I could see a girl holding something in her hand and the water looks to be pretty close to her neck. So
maybe
that's pretty far out. Now, we've said several times that Horn Island has a very aggressive slope. So you can be in shallow water and deep water within just a few steps. And once you get into that deep water, you're not as able to keep your feet on the ground if a current comes and pulls you, or God forbid a riptide comes and drags you. So that's why we thought it was significant to know that they were socializing in fairly deep water.
Can we go back to the main photo where the boats are numbered 1, 2, 3, X? Isn't it true, Brian Trasher, that these boats are easily identifiable by I call it a tail number, like you would a plane? Every boat has to be registered or supposed to be registered. It has a number on it. It often has a name like Triton. One was named Mac Daddy. There were other names. They're registered, and you know who the owner is, and the owner can tell us who was on the boat that day. Is that correct?
Theoretically, yeah. If you can make out the registration number or the name of the boat.
All right, we're gonna sim through this. All right.
If the vessel's name is registered,
So basically, the question that they're asking them, can you recognize whatever boat's out there by the pictures? And by the images that you see. And yes, each boat has a vessel number. So each boat, yes, you can, if you really want to do some investigation, you can figure out who was driving and what the name of that boat was and who all, in their passenger manifesto that they were supposed to have, that each time you take somebody out on the boat. Yeah.
Along with the registration number, you to tell when
there's Marie Pereira, registered nurse, which is important. But she is a criminal defense attorney and domestic violence expert. She is a 7:30. Nolan was nowhere to be seen. Now, I want to saying you saw that. All those people in my book are witnesses. One of them is saying at 7:30, Nolan was nowhere to be seen. Now, I want to see the video or the photo again, because you want to tell me that this guy, Nolan Wells, hit his head and drowned, and none of those people saw what happened? I find that really hard to believe.
It is hard to believe, and that's why it's extremely important that the law enforcement are not too proud to get help from the public. Like you said, if people are sending in videos, they should be using those videos to conduct further investigation. I'm praying that this is a situation like Brian Koberger, where the police department, they were being ragged and being called ranky-dink police, while all the time they were investigating and putting together a case against him. I hope that, because all the time they were saying, oh, what are they doing? It was I think the DA had a long, big beard, which wasn't very conducive to believing he knew what he was doing, but they knew what they were doing.
I know, it looked like Leonard Skinner sitting there. Hey, that videos from Officer Tatum's podcast.
All right, so realistically, y'all, all right, let's get back to Judge Moore. I'm gonna get to the clip or the section of this interview with Nancy that I want to get to. All right, so just be patient, okay?
Like you say, you had the mid-50s when Emmett Till was killed. I mean, he was killed for simply whistling at a white woman, and no one was ever held responsible in a court of law there. No one has been brought to justice for killing Emmett Till, and they know exactly who killed him. Lamar Smith was killed on the courthouse steps in Brookhaven, Mississippi, for helping register blacks to vote. And this was in the mid-50s, early 60s when he was killed. And the sheriff witnessed the killing, and no one was ever brought to justice. I mean, killed him in broad daylight in Mississippi. And so things like that have occurred. Medgar Evers was killed in front of his home. Now, someone was brought to justice years later, but it took several years before someone was brought to justice for that. And so time and time again, people have gotten away literally with murder in Mississippi. But this time, if something went awry, we plan to make sure that Mississippi holds those accountable, no matter their race, no matter their class, because Nolan Xavier Wells' life mattered.
Yes, absolutely. And what do you think about the DA, McGrath or whatever her name is? You know, people are saying like she could be a lot more transparent, knowing the history of Mississippi. And what do you think about her sealing the autopsy? What do you think about the possibility? You know, I personally feel like they're going to say they found drugs in his system and it was an accidental either overdose or whatnot. But what do you think in the way like the DA is kind of handling this?
Yeah, I don't like the way she's handling it. I believe she could be more transparent. I believe that if they really believe that there was no foul play and that there was a drowning, present the evidence of a drowning. Present the autopsy report that shows that he drowned, that he had water in his lungs, the type of water. Present evidence that there was no strictures or damage to the throat or the neck, and present evidence that there was nothing conclusive about that damage to the back of his head. Present all that in the open and just shed the light of day on things and stop letting rumor mill run amok, because she has the information. She could put a stop to some of these rumors, but she's choosing to hide behind the grand jury and choosing to hide behind secrecy. But if the evidence was so much in their favor, I think they would release it sooner than later.
Right. I keep saying that, like, if it was accidental, you and I wouldn't be talking right now. They would love nothing more than to give that closure.
And you make a hell of a point. And that is the point of all points. Chat. If it was really that cut and dry, that black and white, that right between the lines, Why wouldn't they just release the autopsy and send everybody on their way? Say this is an open and shut case. There's no need to investigate. It was an accidental drowning. Here's the autopsy. Here is the investigation report. Didn't take us any time because it was an accidental drowning. There was no foul play suspected. Why wouldn't you just release all that and just send on our way? Just send all of us on our way. But instead, you're saying, no, we're going to keep the autopsy sealed. We're going to keep the investigation sealed. No updates, no reports. We're going to keep all this information sealed and take it to a grand jury. But if there's no foul play, why do you even need to take it to a grand jury in the first place? If it's just an accidental drowning, no foul play suspected, just water in the lungs, he drowned, then why wouldn't you just silence everybody and keep the noise down so everybody can just move on with their lives? But no. That's because, chat, it's not so cut and dry, chat. Not so black and white. Just saying. Just saying.
And it's interesting how they don't realize, or maybe they do, that they're almost stalling out for more time to figure out what they can do because they know it's going to be a disaster unless they can figure it out. Because, and what do you think about the autopsy? How, you know, we know for the second autopsy Colin Kaepernick paid for, that there wasn't the lungs, there wasn't the neck and all that. Is that normal for a medical examiner to, you know, some have said that's normal practice for them to not include it. But, you know, again, it makes the public say that that looks pretty suspicious. But what do you think from your expertise?
I believe that, and that's not my lane, so I try to stay in my lane, but from hearing other professionals, I did hear that I heard different opinions about whether or not it was normal. Some said that they could keep samples and they could have sent certain parts of the lungs or the neck, the throat to the other side to examine, because clearly to do a thorough examination, they would need access to that at some point. And so to not send it and not give advance notice that they were not sending it leaves a lot to be desired.
Right. And what do you think about the defamation suit? I saw now the family, you know, they have their give, send, goes, and they're trying to sue Ben Crump and Al Sharpton for defamation. What do you make of that? And can you explain a little bit, if you know, if you can, about defamation? And, you know, because I think a lot of times it seems like a scare tactic, but just, you know, explaining how, as long as you're stating facts and not making things up, accusations that, you know, because I want people to understand.
They're trying to create more distractions. That's what they're doing. They're trying to create more distractions. That's why they're doing it. That's why they're saying what they're saying. That's why they're trying to sue. They're trying to do this, suing people for defamation because they're spreading false narratives. Well, people aren't really spreading false narratives. They're just spreading the only information, the only evidence that we have as a public. But Mr. Judge, former judge, what's your opinion?
Successfully for defamation, they're going to have to prove that you lied on them and said something that was libelous or slanderous to them. So something that you published either verbally or in writing that was a lie. And so at this point, right now, everyone is presumed innocent of a crime until proven guilty. There has not been a trial yet. And so what if somebody is actually proven guilty in a court of law? So I think it's really premature at this point, because the process is not played all the way out. And so you don't know who's going to be charged. You don't know who's going to be found guilty. And so how can you prematurely charge someone with defamation in a civil court? And so I just think it's very premature. I think it's a scare tactic. But as long as you're telling the truth, or you repeating evidence, the audio exists. I mean, you hear what you can recite what you heard on the audio. That's what you heard. And whether somebody else hears something else, that's different. But you know what you heard. You can tell what you heard from your perception. Perception is 9/10 of reality.
Interesting. So it's not defamation if we're hearing Nolan, or we're hearing the damn it Bart, or we're hearing
coming from a judge or lawyer,
you know, cover him up, you know, in some of these words. So it's not defamation to repeat that, is what you're saying.
If your five senses give you the ability to tell what you heard, I believe you can tell that exactly what you believe you heard. I mean, and that's just your perception. That's your opinion. That's your reality. And you have a right to speak your truth.
And you can give an opinion. Like, for example, I did a video today about a text message that Ashley Cole, the judge, sent to Christine Walmsley, that, you know, and I'll read it here for you now. And I gave my opinion on it, saying, you know, it seems a little cold in the way of what she said. I'll bring it up right here. It was on Officer Tatum's show. It had you know, it was confirmed. I talked to Christine Wells. This was a confirmed real message. And it was Tuesday, July 7th at 8:59 p.m., a day after they had found Nolan. And she says, Christine, this is Ashley Cole. If or when you ever want to talk to me, this is my number. And so am I allowed to comment and just say, look, that no condolences, no, like, no matter what, we're here for you. I'm so sorry. You know, am I allowed to say that and give my opinion and read this text that's been confirmed? Is there any, you know, concern there with a defamation?
So what he's talking about, I kind of want to play this clip because I actually felt like Secret Service Sam, in my opinion, he made a great point about this. And he does make a great point. If the mother, the judge, is going to offer her condolences or just say anything to Nolan Wells' mom, right? Don't you think she would have just a tad bit more of a please reach out to me if, you know, there's anything you ever need. Our family is here for you, you know, but what she said, you know, was kind of dry. Was kind of, whenever you want to talk, just, you know, call me. Didn't say sorry that you lost your son or anything like that.
I don't practice in Mississippi, but in Tennessee, I don't see a problem doing that. I mean, it's just
it's not a lie. I mean, this is a real text, but are you allowed to give your opinion then on a fact? I guess, like, am I allowed to say, like, you know, this seems cold to me? You know,
that's your opinion. You are allowed to give your opinion. I mean, whether it's cold or not. It's anybody's opinion whether that is cold or heartless or thoughtless not to offer your condolences. But she clearly could have started off saying, Christine, I am so sorry for your loss. If you ever want to talk, here's my number. She didn't give any kind of condolence based on what she just read to me. So you have a right to comment on that.
Okay. And what's interesting, I think, about it is how she says, if and when you ever want to talk to me. To me, there's something just suspicious in that. You know, it reminds me of, like, you know, just hypothetical, you cheat on your girlfriend and she hates you, she's furious, and you send it text like, I know I'm the worst, if and when you ever want to talk to me again. It almost suggests like something, like it feels like you're saying something wrong happened. Like, why would she say if and when? That just really sticks with me. And again, these are, you know, Warren is saying this was his best friend, but I know my son, you know, my daughters and whatever, they're best friends. Like, I know their parents. They have my number. I have their number. We communicate. And so it's just very odd to me that she says, this is my number. So this is the first time they're even really meeting.
And he goes more into depth in this video. And I just want y'all to sit with this point because I'm playing this part of the interview for a reason. Because Secret Service Sam, you made a hell of a point, my guy. A hell of a point. Let's get into it. Oh, and we can't even get into it because production didn't press the audio for me.
Right. There is a text that Ashley Cole sent Christine Walmsley on July 7th. Okay. And this is a day after her son, Nolan Wells, was found. And she says this, Christine, this is Ashley Cole. If or when you ever want to talk to me, this is my number. Now, Officer Race Tatum posted this. I verified this with Christine Walmsley. This is an actual real text. she received from Ashley Cole. But my question about it is, where are the condolences? It just is very odd. Okay, this is your son is on an interview saying this is his best friend. She doesn't have your number. This is the first time you guys are speaking. I know with my kids, friends, best friends, I know their parents. I have their phone numbers because we have to set up play dates, or we have to say, hey, you know, want to invite you to a birthday party. We're doing this whoop-de-woo, whatever it is. But I just find it so cold and callous that she said, if or when you ever want to talk to me, this is my number. What does that mean, if or when? Why is there an if? Why would she not want to talk to you? And do you think it's appropriate the day after she finds out that her son is gone forever? Like, you don't start this text off with saying, whatever you need, we're here for you. I'm so sorry. We are devastated. Whatever you need, I will throw every resource behind it to help you out to get justice for your son and get to the bottom of this. There's nothing of that. There's no sending our love, our prayers, our thoughts. There's nothing. This is the most cold, and I don't know. I would be disgusted if somebody sent me this message. It was on July 7th, Tuesday, at 9:00 p.m. and literally less than 24 hours before she just found out her son was gone. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Secret Service, Sam.
Yeah. Now, Judge, what do you feel about that?
Yeah, it's very odd for them to have.
Oh, it's very odd.
And alleged best friends for the parents, the step parents, not to know each other. And I believe Ashley Cole has gone on record saying that she went to high school or school with Christine. So it's just very odd. It seemed like she would have called her or gone by. Normally in the South, you take a dish over, you go by to somebody's house if you're relatively close to them and offer your condolences in person. And if you're not going to offer it in person, you call and give it via phone, but not by a text message. That's just it's almost inhumane to me just to send a text message like that.
It is. It's almost like don't send that at all.
Fact.
And it's so odd to me that it's just this whole thing is so off, you know. It's just like kind of one of those things when your gut is telling you something is off. And I think
chat, because if we really think about it, even the text message, it seems just a little bit cold. Like they're saying, like, we're not even trying to read too much into it. Like, even if you don't look into it that much, don't it seem a little odd or a little strange that at the end of the day, she would come off like that? This is your child. Your son basically said this is his best friend. And this is what you say? This is what you say. Christine, this is Ashley Cole. If or when you ever wanted to talk to me, this is my number. What? The day after, she just lost her son. Yeah, this text seems a little cold. The day before, she just found her son washed up on an island. And you don't text her saying, I'm sorry for your loss. Anything you need, I'm here for you. You know, I'm a judge, so you know I can talk to the sheriffs to make sure they get to the bottom of it. They can do some investigation. You know, I will pull all my resources together. If you need anything, I'm here for you. You know, he makes a hell of a point. What do y'all think about this? Christine, this is Ashley Cole. If or when? What do you mean if or when? Why wouldn't she want to talk to you if y'all and sons were best friends and if her son was supposedly last seen with your son? Why wouldn't she want to talk to you? Even if she think potentially has something to do with it, yes, she would still want to talk to you, want to still have a conversation. But that text is a little cold. It's a little dry. You don't offer your condolences. You don't say, hey, if we can, stop by. If you guys need any help with anything, please let me know. If you need help planning a funeral, I'm here for you. If y'all kids were truly best friends. And this was a text that you see happened July 7th. only a few days after Nolan Wells has passed away. A day after his body has washed up on the shore of a Horn Island. And this is the first text you send her? Y'all see it there. There's a full text chat. Christine, this is Ashley Cole. If or when you ever want to talk to me, this is my number. Interesting. We see it. But you ain't going to offer your condolences first? You ain't going to say, I'm sorry for your loss. I hate that this has happened to you. Just saying.
The biggest indication that this is so off is just that they have not released their autopsy, that they have not just come forward and said this was accidental and here's our proof. I think the fact that they're stalling out, I think the fact that the governor, Tate Reeves, is just, trying to roll it under and say, oh yeah, they're doing a great job and there's nothing, it's kind of like there's nothing to see here, makes people be like, okay, now I want to see behind that door because you're acting weird about it.
Yeah, for the governor to come out and say that he has not seen anything so far, I mean, I'm like, in what world of reality is he living in? I mean, there are several things that would leave a reasonable person to ponder if this is suspicious or not. And he just said he's seen nothing to make him believe that foul play was involved. But I'm like, is he looking at the same evidence that I'm looking at that's been publicly disclosed?
Right.
Because there are several things that have led me to believe that something went awry.
Yeah, exactly. And the whole thing too, for those boys to go on Officer Race Batum Tatum, like he used to work at TPUSA, and then it reminds me of how all these people are going after Christine Walmsley, the mother. They're leaving 1-star reviews at her work, like I see in the Ocean Springs Talk of the Town Facebook group. They're just, oh yeah, she did, Nolan would be disappointed in her. She just wants to be famous and this and that. And she's going on a tour and all this crap. And I'm just like, yo, when Charlie Kirk died, none of you guys had anything to say about Erica Kirk taking up and going on a literal tour and coming out to like pyrotechnics and bragging about making $200,000 on t-shirts. And it's just the double standard for me. And also, like, I believe there was a girl by the name, I think Audrey or something, who had committed suicide.
He said it. I didn't. Ain't nobody said how Erica Kirk was able to grieve. Erica Kirk was able to live her best life after Mr. Kirk died and passed away. Erica Kirk was able to live her best life and have nobody say nothing to her. But Mrs. Mama Wells actually is getting all this thrown at her. Interesting.
In Mississippi, and somebody was saying how the whole town just went around her. The GoFundMe's, they weren't trying to say that's where this is about race, is the way they criticize how Christine and the family is grieving. And we give white families all the breathing room they need, all the benefit of the doubt. But what do you think about that? And the kids are now getting their give, send, goes to raise money. Like, again, I think it just leads to more guilt and desperation.
It does. And they talk so bad about those that received the GoFundMe money, Christine, her family, after Nolan died. But now they are saying nothing is crickets about the money for the boys for their alleged legal fees. When I believe there is a lawyer that's gone on record as saying that he would do the legal services for free, pro bono. Russell Latino said he would represent on pro bono to sue for defamation. So why are you raising money when you already allegedly have a free lawyer or the offer of a free lawyer?
That makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? If the lawyer offered his service to everybody, all his friends, because he wanted to defend them from having their name being defamed, the lawyer said, hey, don't worry about it. I'll do it for free. Then what y'all need to GoFundMe for? What you need money for? You got a lawyer that's going to do it for free. So if it's not for Nolan Wells and his family, then what you doing it for? Interesting. I digress.
So I believe that it's just a double standard. And I just cannot imagine someone leaving 1-star reviews to a grieving mother is just out of pure hate. And that shows to you, that shows the world that Mississippi is still full of hate. There's the South, and then there's Mississippi. It's a different kind of crazy.
Absolutely. And I think, I saw some of the reviews people left. They said, how can I trust a doctor who is going to like discriminate against me because of race? And I hate when people do that, because there is a very real racism that plays in with doctors treating their Black patients differently. And to think that like a Black doctor would treat a white person differently because of their race, it's just like, to me, you're just deflecting. Like, you don't hear about cases of like that. Like, I remember there was some nurse who was like breaking bones of like little Black children, like babies. Like, we have history of this, it's just, I hate when white people try to reverse psychology and kind of turn it on. Just there's no racism. And
no, we hate it too. We hate it too, Sam. But the thing is, when you really think about it though, if we really peel back the curtains a little bit, just a little bit, it actually comes down to this point as well, of the point that how should I say this? At the end of the day, we live in two different Americas, my friend. Two different, entirely different Americas. Two different, entirely different justice systems. That's what it comes down to. But what you're saying is right. They try to use the reverse psychology. Oh, no.
And you guys are the racist ones,
And it's like, yeah, how are we the racist ones? How? Something, if we really peel all the layers back, once upon a time during slavery, let me just take y'all back in history for 2 seconds. I ain't gonna get too deep. But once upon a time during slavery, right? Who was the ones taking care of the white person's family? So-called a nanny that lived in a house with the family and took care of the white person's kids. A Black mother. A Black mother lived and was a slave to the white family and took care of the white family kids. How can you trust a Black woman taking care of your own kids? And all y'all did it. All y'all had a Black nanny. A lot of y'all had a Black person raise your kids, right? Because that was your slave. So she was doing what she was told to do. You had them cook for you. You trust them to cook your food, but you don't trust them to drink at the same water fountain as you. You trust them to watch your kids, but you don't trust them to ride normally on a bus with you or to enter your restaurant or your establishment. But you trust them to watch your kids? You trust them to come in your house and cook your food? To bathe your kids and make sure your kids, are tucked in at night sometimes? Just think about that. Think about the backwardness of slavery. How you had slaves, people who basically you didn't like, but you had them taking care of your kids. Your kids is probably the most precious thing that you have. But you had these Black mothers taking care of y'all kids as your nannies. So how can do you really despise Black people that much? Do you really think we're that bad? When you had Black mothers taking care of y'all kids once upon a time? Just saying, let's make it make sense. She can take care of your kids, but she can't drink out of the same water fountain as you. Oh, okay.
It's just very I don't know. I get it really is my
towards leading to an arrest, or should lead to an arrest or an arrest towards and I'm just which the call went into CETO based on people gasping and oh my God and saying the things calling.
I wanted to get to the CETO call. This is the last thing. All right, and then we're done with this video chat.
His name, I believe, asking if he's dead or wanting him to freaking wake up or whatever. So I believe he was on that boat, and they know that. and that's why people are acting suspicious. If you saw your friend take a dive into the water, either on shore or off the boat, and he just didn't come back up, he struggled and didn't come back up, that's easy enough to recite to the family. People die every year of drowning, accidental drownings, and that's easy to recite. It's uncomfortable reciting, but you don't have to lawyer up for that. You don't scrub your Facebook or your social media accounts. You don't deactivate them. You just don't do certain things. You can go to the funeral because you have a clear conscience.
That's a very
you can't
good
do those things. Something is amiss, and it's not rocket science. Something went wrong. We don't know who did what, why, how, where.
Let's rewind all the way back to when Secret Service Sam asked the question.
And then ends up in Nolan. And I see him like what I don't get why more people aren't asking questions. If it was an accidental drowning, how did nobody witness it or see him? Like, I just don't picture Nolan saying, okay, go on without me. I'm staying back with this girl. Then the girl says, I went back. So then, okay, where is Nolan? And I just don't picture him being on this island and deciding to swim back to shore and drowns and then ends up in the place on the shore where they left him. You know what I mean? And logically, you would stay on the island if you were trapped there. You wouldn't, try to swim off the island. But what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's very suspicious, and I think it bears any semblance to reality. I believe it's all made up. I believe that I believe the audio, and I believe that he was on the boat or a boat that was near the boat from which the call went in to Cito, based on people gasping and oh my God and saying the things, calling his name. I believe asking if he's dead or wanting him to freaking wake up or whatever. So I believe he was on that boat, and they know that. And that's why people are acting suspicious. If you saw your friend take a dive into the water, either on shore or off the boat, and he just didn't come back up, he struggled and didn't come back up, that's easy enough to recite to the family. People die every year of drowning, accidental drownings, and that's easy to recite.
That's a fact, because if it was just so black and white, when his friends just say, instead of making up this story, isn't it just easy to say, no, we was with him. He dove into the water trying to prove to us how well he can swim, and then he just never came back up. He drowned. They wouldn't believe it, but y'all could probably get better, get away with that. But with trying to cover it up, doing this, doing that, calling Cito, having that conversation, whether the call is real or not, whether all that stuff happened that was in the background or not, it just raises more questions. So really, they did this to themselves.
It's uncomfortable reciting, but you don't have to lawyer up for that. You don't.
And then if we're talking about deleting your Facebook, deleting your social medias, not going to your friend's funeral, like, even if people are accusing you of this and that, like, those are just internet stuff. You can still go to his funeral.
Right. Your Facebook or your social media accounts, you don't deactivate them. You just don't do certain things. You can go to the funeral because you have a clear conscience.
That's a very good
You can't do
point.
those things. Something is amiss, and it's not rocket science. Something went wrong. We don't know who did what, why, how, where, but we know that something seems to have gone awry, and we need to get down to the bottom of it. The family has never accused anybody of being racist. They have simply asked for questions. They've asked questions and they want answers, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and I think you just brought up a good point, which made me think about the audio call. Is maybe their boats were tied up next to each other. That's interesting. So maybe he was on the boat next to them, and we're overhearing some of that. It's because the way they are tied up. And then, you hear gasping. And then I'm hoping with Ben Crump, because I've been made aware that like the FBI or there's audio software that even like professional audio engineers cannot buy the software, that there's special software that can even bring out more of this audio. And I mean, do you think, is the audio going to be enough to, because I saw they said right after the audio came out, they said, oh, there was 2 witnesses on the island who saw Nolan on the island. And it's like, okay, well, who are these 2 witnesses?
Yeah, give names and why they're just not coming to light. And another problem I have with this case is no one knows anything, but now they know that he was heavily drinking. Nolan was heavily drinking. So which is it? You didn't see anything, you don't know anything, or you do know something. And so there's so many different stories here. I'm just shocked.
And Warren said in his interview that he looked fine to him. There was the football coach who saw him, had a conversation with him. He looked fine. So, and then the U.S. Coast Guard said that he was heavily intoxicated. How would they know something like that without a toxicology report, you know? And then as far as what do you think about the anonymous park ranger? I find that odd that why would they be anonymous? You know, wouldn't you think they've made everybody from the United Cajun Navy? We know Todd Terrell, we know their names. We've seen them interviewed on television. Why do you think this park ranger hasn't come forward to tell his side of where he found him and how? And, you know, what do you think about that?
Yeah, that should be public record. There should be nothing to hide there. And so to keep his identity a secret is not the norm. I mean, that person's name should be readily available in the park ranger's report. And that should be public record, subject to a public records request or a FOIA request. And so I'm just surprised that we still to this day don't know his name, his or her name or identity.
Because that is kind of surprising. An anonymous, you know, park ranger found a body. Why he got to be anonymous? If he a park ranger, he's a ranger. Shouldn't we know his name if he's a ranger? If he fought for this country, I mean, wouldn't he want his name? Wouldn't he want the kind of, I don't know. But raises a good question.
Yeah. Do you think, could we put out a FOIA request to get that information? That's actually a good point. I'm surprised nobody has really done that, but that'd probably be a good idea to do that.
Yes, I would definitely say someone should do that. It should be readily available.
Okay. I guess what I would just like hit up Mississippi, I guess just go on a website in Mississippi and a FOIA request. And then, cause I did it for, during the Carmelo Anthony, I asked because people were passing around what I believe to be a fake autopsy report of Austin Metcalf. And I had done a FOIA request. Now they denied it, which was interesting to me. But maybe I need to follow that same path of going to Mississippi's website and putting in a FOIA request. And then like I did for the last one, you just type in, hey, I would like to know the park ranger's name who found Nolan Xavier Wells.
And a copy of his report. And so you need to decide if that person worked for the state, if they work for the federal government, because the park ranger could be a federal agent or it could be a state agent. So if it was me, I would write both of them and try to figure out which one had, which park ranger, which agency he actually worked for. Was it the federal government, U.S. Parks and Wildlife, or was it the state equivalent?
Interesting. So in my question, or anybody out there listening, let's have everybody doing that's, you know, any
as a grand jury and civil attorney, since
anything you'd like to mention before we kind of wrap this up?
Yeah, people are correct to keep asking questions. They are asking the right questions. They are sense that something is awry, as they are not far off from someone that has years of experience as a judge and a prosecutor and just a civil attorney in Mississippi. I can tell you that
a judge, a prosecutor, and a civil attorney. That is you, good sir. Interesting. And you got questions too. Interesting.
In my humble opinion, something is not right here. Things are not going according to norm. It does not take a grand jury presentation to have an arrest. Arrest should have long been made by now. A search warrant should have been secured. Arrest warrant should have been secured by now for one or more crimes. And the proper pressure should have been applied as normal to get to the truth of what happened to Nolan Wells. That has not been done in this instance. And we are left to wonder, is it because of race? Is it because of class? Is it a combination of the two? But whatever it is not normal and it's not fair. And it should not occur in a colorblind justice system. The justice should be applied equally. And in this instance, it seems that there is a favoritism going
on. Because there is. Doctors, lawyers of these parents, they're involved. They're going to cover up their kid with every ounce of their soul. We get it.
Case.
Doesn't make it right.
Her body would never have been found if it weren't for amateur sleuths. I believe their name is Red blue and they or law enforcement.
So some people really are good. And back to your
very interesting.
So first of all, going back to your comment about internet sleuths, a lot of people consider themselves internet sleuths, but some people really are good. And there's one young lady who's helped us out on many cases, who was very helpful in this case. I haven't asked her permission yet if I could say her name, but if she gives me permission and I come back on, I'll be happy to give her credit for all the help she gave us. But basically, what we did was we took these pictures, we juxtaposed them to, like Google Earth and satellite pictures of the island to try to determine exactly where they were. We looked at the initial coordinates called out from the I think from the Coast Guard or from Marine Patrol when the missing persons report first went out, and basically just try to run these pictures against each other to say, okay, this boat's here now, it's not here later, and again, just create an index. We had to use some software to help us create the index of the pictures and make sure we put it into the best timeline we could. We included social media posts that, may or may not have been definitive, but this was happening in real time. So we thought it was important to put those up there to create context. And so again, just trying to, our goal was to take what we've received, put it into a digestible format that just about anybody could understand, hopefully. And if it's helpful, great. If it's not, then I don't think, no harm, no foul.
Again, instant. Play with your mama.
To Dave Mack, Crime Stories investigative reporter, based on this timeline, and it may be refined as the days go forward, how does it shift the timeline? Because there is a group of people fighting at 5 p.m.
So this is Cajun Navy's broken down report timeline that they suspect of the timeline that happened with Nolan Wells. All right. With that being said, you can look at it here. 3 p.m. video shows crowded Orchard. So everybody crowded on the boat, people swimming in the water. 4:27 video shows boats / people in the boat. Once again, 4:31 Nolan friends, they essentially leave the island, supposedly. Then 5 p.m. group of people starts fighting, supposedly by witnesses. And then 7:30 it says the witnesses states they didn't see no one anywhere in sight around that time.
Who are they? The friends say they leave at 4:31. That should be able to be verified through GPS. 5 p.m. Nolan, according to them, is still at Horn Island. Is he? Because by 7:30, witness states Nolan nowhere in sight. So where was he? He wasn't floating in the water. He wasn't on the shore. If he had, hold on, Dave, to Joe Scott Morgan, if he had drowned, wouldn't he be floating in the water?
Perhaps. I've seen bodies in the immediate.
Don't say perhaps, because usually when a body, actually, I'm gonna let them talk. My bad, y'all.
Will go directly to the bottom. And there are those that do in fact float. So a lot of it is going to depend upon the temperature of the water many times. A lot of it's going to depend upon, is there anything else out there that could, let's see, how can I put this, that could in fact impede the body's ability to float to the top, like beneath a boat. And as you can see, there are a lot of boats out there. So if in fact that had occurred, you can actually have bodies that will be caught beneath other vessels. I've worked cases like that where they were looking around for someone and they couldn't find them because the whole area was surrounded by vessels. And so there are a lot of elements that go into this, Nancy.
I bet there is a lot of elements that go into this. And with it being a lot of elements, we're going to get to one more element. And then after that, we're going to call it a wrap, folks, for today. But, hey, like I said, y'all, we're going to continue to spread Nolan Wells' name. We're going to continue to say Nolan Wells' name. And at the end of the day, hopefully, eventually, his family does get the justice that he so deserves. But until then, We will continue to report about Nolan Wells.
A Cajun Navy report. It shows 3 boats and more anchored side by side. Boat number 3, the Palm Beach, and also the Triton, we believe, which is the boat that took Nolan to Horn Island. It's also the boat that reportedly leaves, according to the occupants, without Nolan. They claim they begged him to board their vessel, but he said no. Let me understand this. According, Caitlin Becker, according to the mysterious Katie, not that mysterious because her sister has posted and we've obtained her photo, we think. She says he left with his friends. They say he stayed with her. Okay, that's a problem.
That is a problem.
Yep. That's a problem. And there are also quite a few friends that he had come out with. So the Triton that he was on, there were 3 or 4 people on that particular boat. That's the one that he had come out on, and the one that his friends say, we asked him to get back on the boat. He didn't get back on the boat. His phone was on the boat. We left, we took on water, we needed help. He said he was going to stay to talk to this mysterious, as you said, Katie. Mysterious Katie says that she talked to him for a minute. It was no big deal. Then his friends called him back, and that's where he went. And she just assumed he went back on the boat with his friends. The issue I think that we're running into here is that the friends weren't just the 4 that you're seeing right here. There were multiple boats, 3 boats full of friends that came out. So could he have been going back to a second boat full of his friends while the Triton was gone, or were they referring to the Triton itself? That, I think, is where the biggest bit of confusion lays.
Dave Mack, question. Dave Mack, Crime Stories investigative reporter, didn't at the get-go the friends on the boat state they didn't know the name of the girl? They didn't know who she was. They had never seen her before. I'm paraphrasing. We can look up their exact words. Then does it turn out they're actually texting with her about where is Nolan?
Apparently, Nancy, you have to realize a couple things here, and it's getting lost in the muck and the mire, is the friends. We use the term Nolan's friends that he went to Horn Island with. Well, you know what, Nancy? Many people have said that he didn't know Katie, they didn't know Katie before that day, and that Nolan just started talking to her. But now it appears that they, being the group of friends, were communicating with Katie and knew who she was. And that during
then why would they say they didn't know who she was? Call her some girl, a girl.
So what they're referring to is in the boys' first report when they interviewed, I believe with Cajun Navy or the sheriff's department themselves, they said that Nolan stayed on the island with a girl that they did not know. But the very next day, they came out and said, oh, no, we know her. He was with Katie. Yeah, he was with Katie. She was the last person that he was with. Interesting.
Here's the problem, Nancy, is I keep hearing friends, but you realize that Nolan, he went out to Horn Island on a boat. You know, Warren Hudson has talked a lot. He's been with Officer Tatum talking about, his best friend Nolan and the whole thing. But first of all, Warren did not go to Horn Island on the same boat as Nolan Wells. And we have heard over and over from parents and friends, he would, run with the one that got you there, right? So Nolan went with one boat and they expected he would return on the same boat. Yeah, exactly. We're now finding out that was never the plan. He was never going back on the same boat that took him to the island. So when we talk about this group of friends, Nancy, they were scattered on 3 or 4 different boats. And we keep focusing on the one with the bilge pump problem. But now, what boat?
And there's Nolan, little beanhead butt right there. Y'all see him? That's Nolan right there. You see him. That's Nolan. Yes, it is. And what they're saying and the point that he's making is kind of irrelevant because, sir, Warren came out in a podcast interview saying that they tried to get him to come back on the boat. So how wasn't that the plan, sir? How wasn't that the plan? So he was supposed to come out there on one boat, but then he was supposed to leave on another boat. But then his friends say that, hey, they told him to get back on their boat. that he was probably supposed to leave with them since they were leaving with. So what you're saying doesn't add up, sir. But okay.
Was Nolan Wells supposed to be going back to the mainland? We know he didn't ride with Warren Hudson to the island. So where was he supposed to be on?
Brian Trasher joining us, Vice President, United Cajun Navy, on the case from the very beginning. Brian, do we know the time of the CETO call made from the Triton?
We do. I don't know it off the top of my head, but I know it's been reported, and obviously the CETO would have the exact time of that recording and stuff in their archives. But it seems like it was after 3 o'clock, before 4:30, and we know that the tow was canceled because somebody got in touch with Bart Edmondson, who ended up towing the boat himself, being a good Samaritan. And of course, now that poor guy is getting, raked over the coals just for being a good, what we try to tell everybody to be, neighbor helping neighbor.
Now, didn't the grandpa call and cancel the tow?
Yeah, I think that I saw that report as well. And it may have been that somebody contacted him and said, hey, we got somebody to tow us. So maybe he called because he had a better signal and said, hey, they don't need it anymore. Again, these are all kind of, the things that were already out there. I don't think we included too much about that in our report because it had been reported on so much. But I also just wanted to point out too, on the photo on page 14, this is one that we included, even though we could, there's a young man that matches Nolan's description. And I'm saying it that way because we can't verify that it's him in this picture. And he's partially in it because there's a girl blocking him.
But my good sir, can we go back a little bit? Can we go back a little bit? Because what you said was kind of false.
The photo on page 14, this is my thing, and said, yeah, I think that I saw that report as well. And it may have been that somebody contacted him and said, hey, we got somebody to tow us. So maybe he called because he had a better signal and said, hey, they don't need it anymore.
What do you mean he called because he had a better signal, sir? What do you mean? Maybe Grandpa called because he had a better signal. Grandpa called before the son or Wyatt even got off the phone with the CETO woman, the dispatcher. We heard it, sir. So what are you saying, sir? Maybe Grandpa called because he didn't have a good signal. No, he had great signal. We heard a lot. Maybe a little too much. Maybe some things they didn't expect us to hear. But that's allegedly. But what we did hear was Grandpa 60 seconds later after Warren said, we're in 31 foot of water. Well, 31 foot of water, we're sinking. We're going down. That's what he said. That's what he said. So how, my good sir, did his grandpa maybe assume, maybe he called because he just had better signal? Nah, Grandpa called and called off that tow for a reason. Just saying.
Again, these are called because he had a better signal.
The tow?
Yeah, I think that I saw that report as well. And it may have been that somebody contacted him and said, hey, we got somebody to tow us. So maybe he called because he had a better signal and said, hey, they don't need it anymore. Again, these are all kind of, the things that were already out there. I don't think we included too much about that in our report because it had been reported on so much. But I also just wanted to point out too, on the photo on page 14, this is one that we included, even though we could, there's a young man that matches Nolan's description. And I'm saying it that way because we can't verify that it's him in this picture.
It's not Nolan in that picture, sir.
And he's partially in it because there's a girl blocking him, but it's a young, slender African-American male wearing blue swim trunks from what you could see in the picture. According to the person that submitted that photo, it was taken at approximately 4:50 p.m. Central Time on July 4th, which would have been after the GPS data says that the Triton had left Horn Island. Now, that's only relevant if this young man in the picture actually turns out to be Nolan. We never could.
Dog, that is not Nolan. His shorts, yes, they were blue, but they are a lighter blue, sir. This skin color right here, this man, doesn't match the caramel skin color of Nolan Wells, sir. I'm kind of a little bit, me and Nolan Wells kind of resemble each other just a tad bit. I'm a little lighter skin. He's a little lighter skin. This, my good sir, this man right here, this is a dark-skinned man. This is a dark-skinned man. Y'all didn't need to put this in your report, sir, because it's not Nolan Wells. Oh, well, this proves that he was still on the island. We got a picture of him at 4:50. He was still on the island. Well, sir, that is not Nolan Wells. But Nancy, can you tell him, please, too?
Could verify it, but we thought it was important enough to at least include as a possibility.
Hi, and skip with her. You are now seeing the photo that Brian Trasher from United Cajun Navy has provided on page 14 of their new timeline report. We're blowing it up. We see 1, 2, 3 at the forefront, 3 white females in bikinis, 1 white male walking along. Now, beside the woman in the bikini on the right,
besides her,
I see 2 people. One looks like a female furthest away, but between the white female and the other female, there is an African-American male.
Oh.
That does not look like Nolan Wells to me.
Me neither.
Okay. I'm going to have to bring in NASA to enhance this. Brian Trasher, does this guy have facial hair? That's not Nolan.
I mean, again, we couldn't verify, but we could tell
the picture. So Nancy blurred the picture on her site because obviously she blurred the picture. But if you go look at the picture, you go search for the picture, you will see that this man, this black man, yes, he's a darker skinned man. And yes, he has facial hair. Not Nolan Wells.
Tell that it was an African-American male on the beach wearing blue swim trunks. We thought that was enough to say, okay, it's possible, but we did
those
like
are
you
dark
said.
blue.
I mean, skin tone,
aren't those deep dark blue?
It looks like it, but Nancy, I don't know if this picture's been enhanced. I don't know if it's been filtered. You know what I'm saying? So again, that's the whole reason why.
Been enhanced or it's been filtered, dog. That's a black man.
Why we couldn't.
I want to show y'all the actual picture. Should I just pull up the actual picture for y'all to see? Actually, y'all can go search it up yourselves, but dog.
Corroborate, but was like, okay. And also too, this does create a good picture of a flotilla of boats. So where if we were looking for a particular one, it was a good one to hang on to. So again, fully disclosing that we could not definitively say whether that was him or not. Probably not.
But we need it for the investigation. We need it. And you provided it.
Rule it out.
You got it.
Use it to rule it out.
Okay, so is this Nolan? If it is Nolan, this is at 4:50 and proves he's still on the island when the other boat, the Triton, leaves. I don't think this is Nolan. But that's just my own 2 eyes, 2020 and 2018. It needs to be enhanced. Joining us now, veteran trial lawyer.
Don't need to be enhanced, Nancy. That is not Nolan Wells, Nancy. I think we both know that. Nancy. Okay? It's not. All right? But let's finish. What else you got for me, Nancy, before we get up out of here? All right?
Clear on that, because as I'm looking at this image, everybody kind of looks the same. All the boats kind of look the same, which does muddy the waters even more and makes talking to them so
I've got
critical.
to work with you before I put you on the stand, girl. No. You are not getting up there and saying they all look the same to me. No. We would get the name of the boats. We would find who was out on the boat that day from its owner, and I would ask them who's on the boat. I would not rely, no offense, on your boozy eyesight from 30 yards away. Okay, no offense, Kate.
Nance, neither would I. Neither would I.
But there are ways to, contrary to what Mobley just blurted out, there are ways to find these witnesses and nail them down. If that photo is Nolan Wells and it doesn't look like Nolan to me, then he's on the island at 7 p.m. Okay, now let me remind everybody that the guys on the boat, the Triton with Nolan, they're not charged with anything. They are presumed innocent. So don't be starting up the death threats and all that on them. We need them interviewed separately if they hadn't already been. Who knows what we can learn from them? Don't attack them.
Too late.
I want you to hear what one of them said, though, about the mysterious Katie.
Maintenance fee, overdraft fee, minimum balance fee.
Oh, what you mean? Maintenance fee, overdraft fee. Hey, hold on. We ain't getting paid for that. Hey, Nancy, we ain't getting paid for that advertising, man. Don't putting that on my screen, man, Nancy. Come on now. Y'all know chat how we do. We don't get paid for it. We ain't showing it. But my bad.
Again, until a little after 11 o'clock. And that was
You to hear what one of them said, though, about the mysterious Katie.
I didn't wake up again until a little after 11 o'clock. And that was to my brother coming in the room being like, hey, Warren's trying to get a hold of you. Warren gets on the phone and he's just like, hey, man, he was like, hey, have you talked to Nolan? Anything else? I was like, no, I haven't talked to him, man. He was with that girl last time I knew. And he was like, okay. He was like, man, we can't get a hold of him. We don't know where he's at. I was like, man, it's Nolan. He's probably just out somewhere with that girl. Like, get a hold of the girl. You'll probably find Nolan.
Okay, right there, I'm getting a red flag. That's from the Officer Tatum podcast who joined us recently. That girl, the mysterious Katie. Remember, nobody who knew who she was. But then later, Dave Mack, do we learn that one of the guys on the boat had been texting with her and knew full well who it was? Where did the name Katie come from?
Katie was known to at least one person in the group, and that leads you to believe there were certainly more. There were a number of comments publicly made by friends of Nolan that backtracking, claiming they didn't know who Katie was, had never seen her before, and then you find out, yeah, well, not only did they know her, but they were texting around about her. So there's a lot of missing information here, Nancy, and it's why you said all along, why are these guys not on a polygraph?
Marie?
Just because we're having a lot of people coming up with a lot of different theories, I agree with Caitlin. Not every theory deserves the breath of air. It's not all true. I think it could confuse the search for justice when we're entertaining every single person who posts every single theory, even when it makes no sense. And I have to bring my friend out of probation and say that you can't, go according to every single piece of information you get. It has to make sense to warrant the investigators taking time to investigate. And the fact that they're not sharing with us, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're not doing it all. There's no law that says they have to share everything they're finding out with the public.
Hi, guys. American homeowners.
Chat. I hear what they saying. And yes, they don't got to tell us anything. But don't you think they should say a little something? Don't you think it'll help, some people out? Just saying. But anyway, let's get back to the regular scheduled programming. All right. Hey, Nancy, what you got for us to end it off? Talk to us.
Katie's sister. Katie had a convo, assumed Nolan was getting ready to get on the boat he came out in. Katie made it home on another boat. Katie assumed the friends telling him, get on, wouldn't have left without him. Okay, so he says, I'm going back with my friends. She thinks he got on the boat. The mystery girl Wells reportedly stayed behind to speak with has been identified. Now, at the get-go, we were told no one knew who she was. He had never met her before. He had just met her and was talking to her. But her sister provides a different account of what happened.
Does she?
Whenever I see a conflict in the evidence, I have a problem.
Yeah, me too.
This is all unfolding as we go to air tonight. We wait for that toxicology report.
Yeah.
We wait for the autopsy to be revealed.
Yeah.
We wait for a witness list to be produced. At this hour, reports a grand jury is convening to amass evidence, much the way the Cajun Navy did. If you know or think you know anything regarding this case,
Well, Nancy, I don't know anything, but we appreciate you. We really do. But as I tell y'all, man, hopefully we eventually get answers. At the end of the day, we can speculate until we blue or white in the face. All day long, if I'm being honest. So you can speculate about this case all day long. You can look at this conspiracy, you can look at that conspiracy, and we can continue to do it every single day. But it comes down to, I mean, hey, what's the truth? Who's lying? Who's lying? We shall see. We shall see. Because somebody is lying. The truth will eventually come out. I believe it. Man, we shall see, though, how the cookie crumbles. We shall see when the truth comes out and when we get the autopsy after the grand jury has looked at these things. And I pray that Nolan Wells and his families get answers. Like I told y'all, I'm going to continue to update you about this story. I'm going to continue to, at the end of the day, give you information about what's going on. Man. A lot going on, man. A lot going on. But with everything that's going on, if we're talking about it, once again, the audio, that's the most important thing that we have in this case. The audio, if it's true, that will be what breaks the camel's back and get us answers. It's the audio.
Well, you can obviously look at just the totality of both versions and see that there's a time difference right away. One's 8.5 minutes, the other one's 8 minutes and 50 seconds. And what we actually did was we extracted or preserved the videos from the specific websites, the TMZ, as well as the WAFB website. And then what we were able to do there is take a digital fingerprint MD5 hash value of those two videos. They were obviously different, which means that they have different content. And then, we went in and we looked at the transcript that was able to be gleaned from both versions. And
so now this goes to the main question. In those transcripts, from your analysis, does anyone say, is he dead? Check his chest, Nolan, wake up, anything like that?
No, it's very distorted. Even if you hear it from the original to even the audio enhancement, it's still very difficult for some of the software that we use to even pick up those types of words. And there was nothing like that close to it in the transcriptions that we saw.
Nothing like that or anything close to it, sir? Interesting. Then I guess Nancy Grace, her ears are deceiving her. I guess a lot of our ears are deceiving us. But at the end of the day, I guess we're going to find out. I guess we will find out what really happened. And I pray that we do. I pray that we do. But we shall see what happens, man. Prayers for Nolan Wells and his family. I mean, at the end of the day, I pray we eventually get justice. You eventually get justice. And until then, I hope whoever did this, if anyone did this, that every single night from here moving forward is a sleepless night. That you can't sleep peacefully, ever again until you're in a jail cell. I pray for it. And we shall see what happens. But prayers for Nolan Wells, prayers for his family. This is a Nolan Wells update. Tomorrow, what I have for you is some more Shador Sanders talk. All right, that's going to be coming at you live. Tomorrow, we will be doing Stock Thursday. All right, instead of Stock Wednesday. Yes, it was supposed to be Stock Wednesday, but I had a couple things not come through. So Stock Thursday coming tomorrow after I go through and give y'all the day 8 Shador Sanders update. But I just want to say, hey, I appreciate y'all, man. Show me some love always by hitting that follow button, hitting that like button, hitting that subscribe button. All right. Hey, like I said, we're crawling right now, and we eventually going to be walking. But I appreciate you tuning in, man. I appreciate you always showing love. I appreciate y'all, always tuning in to, just at the end of the day, just, hey, coming to get these gems. And with getting these gems, you can't keep all these gems to yourself. All right, so do me a favor. Just do me, please, this one favor. All right, please, make sure you do this. Send this to your mommy, your daddy, your best friend of another friend, Lil Johnny, Lil Timmy, or Lil Susie, or Lil Josh, who just moved across the street from Lil Susie. Send this to him, too. Send this to everybody, please, because we got to get these gems out. We got to get these gems out. We got to keep these gems out to everybody. All right, so show me some love. And real quick, last Nolan Wells update, because I'm not the only one that's pissed about this. And our bedroom lawyer has one more thing that she wants to say before we get out of here.
It's like, okay, Miss Christine's kid comes up missing and dead. Okay, nobody will give her answers. And then it's like Operation Attack and Discredit Her. Well, why doesn't she have that many pictures of him posted on social media? Well, did he even live at home with them? Well, this is just a money grab. Let's go report her nursing license. So not only does this parent have to deal with the fact that her son is no longer here, and chances are that the friends probably had something to do with it, and she's got to look them people in the fucking face. She's got all these people attacking her, trying to take her livelihood away. She didn't do anything wrong.
Exactly.
She's just asking what happened to her kid. And then it's a smear campaign to go against these people that are victims. But now, you want to threaten the white lady and everybody gets arrested across the country. Meanwhile, the murderers are sitting over there kicking the football. And then it's like, okay, Miss Christine's kid comes up missing and dead. Okay, nobody will give her answers. And then it's like Operation Attack and Discredit Her. Well, why doesn't she have that many pictures of him posted on social media? Well, did he even live at home with them? Well, this is just a money grab. Let's go report her nursing license. So not only does this parent have to deal with the fact that her son is no longer here, and chances are that the friends probably had something to do with it, and she's got to look them people in the fucking face. She's got all these people attacking her, trying to take her livelihood away. She didn't do anything wrong. She's just asking what happened to her kid. And then it's a smear campaign to go against these people that are victims. But now, you want to threaten the white lady and everybody gets arrested across the country. Meanwhile, the murderers are sitting over there kicking the football. And then it's like, okay, Miss Christine's kid comes up missing and dead. Okay, nobody will give her answers.
I just had to play it a few times. So that way, it's not coming from me. I don't want to be biased, right, chat? But, hey, regardless, man, prayers for Nolan Wells, prayers for his family, justice for Nolan Wells. And I pray the family, at least at the end of the day, regardless of whatever happened, regardless of who it exonerates or who it acquits or who it convicts, we want answers for Nolan Wells and his family. That's it. That's all. We will continue to report on the story. We will continue to talk about the story, and I will continue to give you updates. All right. But moving forward, though, it might be less Nolan Wells updates until we get something major. Just letting you know, because I got a lot of other things I want to get to on this channel, but I just want to make sure that his name doesn't die out. And we will continue to talk about him when we get those updates that we are looking for and those answers to the questions that we have. All right. So with that being said, I appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. We got to a lot of sources today. We got to a lot. I hope you enjoyed it. All right. I'm grateful for you. I'm thankful for you. God bless you. All right. Continue to go after your dreams. Continue to go after your goals. Continue to be the best version of you every single day. And hey, why not you? How come you can't go out here and be great and attain and get every single thing you ever dreamed of, every single thing you ever imagined? I believe in you like you believe in you. So, hey, believe in you like I believe in you. And at the end of the day, go be the best version of you each and every day. God bless you. We'll talk soon. All right, we out. We out. Are we for real? Yeah, we out. Deuces.